जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ जय गिरिहरि जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन व्रजन रांजन यशोदानंदन व्रजन रांजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी तीरा जनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा राम हरे जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी 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 राधा माधव की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय So we'll be reading today from chapter 13 verse 1 and 2. It is on page number 535 in most of books, I think. Okay. So the way we do it, I'll read in Sanskrit, and people who want to repeat, you can repeat, and then we'll read word by word, meaning by Prabhupada, translation and purport by Prabhupada, and then we'll discuss out for some time, and then we'll ask question and answer. All right. So the chapter 13 title is Nature, the Enjoyer and Consciousness, and we are reading from text 1 and 2. Magyānatimirandhasya jnānāñjaya salākaya cacchurupurmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha. Arjuna vacha prakritim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetramagyameva cha etad veditum ichchami jnanam gyeyam cha keshava. Sri Bhagavan uvacha idam sariram kaunteya kshetram ihe avidyate etado veditam prahu kshetragya iti tadvidudha. So, anybody wants to read? You can. Yeah, Prabhu. Arjuna Vacha Prakirtim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetragyameva cha Etad Veditum Ichchami Jnanam Gyeyam cha Keshava. Sri Bhagavan uvacha idam sariram kaunteya kshetram e advidiyate etato vetim tam prahu kshetragya iti tadvidha. Anyone else? Prabhu, yes. Arjuna Vacha Prakirtim Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetragyameva cha Etad Vetum Ichchami Jnanam Gyayam Keshava. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha idam sariram kaunteya kshetram ete abhiyate etado vetitam prahu kshetragya iti tadvidha. Okay, so we'll read Prabhupada's word by word meaning. Arjuna Vacha, Arjuna said, Prakirtim, nature, Purusham, the enjoyer, Cha, also, Eva, certainly, Kshetram, the field, Kshetragyanam, the knower of the field, Eva, certainly, Cha, also, Etat, all this, Veditum, to understand, Ichchami, I wish, Jnanam, knowledge, Jnaneyam, the object of knowledge, Cha, also, Keshava, O Krishna, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. The personality of Godhead said, Idam, this, Sariram, body, Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, Kshetram, the field, Iti, thus, Avidhiyate is called, Etat, this, Yah, one who, Veti, knows, Tam, he, Prahu is called, Kshetragyana, the knower of the field, Iti, thus, Tat Vida, by those who know this. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Arjuna said, O my dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field, and the knower of the field, and the knowledge and object of knowledge. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." Purport. Arjuna was inquisitive about the Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, Kshetra, the field, Kshetrajna, its knower, and the knowledge and the object of the knowledge. When he inquired about all this, Krishna said that this body is called the field, and that one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. This body is the field of activity for the conditioned soul. The conditioned soul is entrapped in material existence, and he attempts to lord it over material nature. And so, according to his capacity to dominate material nature, he gets a field of activity. That field of activity is the body. And what is the body? The body is made of senses. The conditioned souls want to enjoy sense gratification, and according to his capacity to enjoy sense gratification, he is offered a body or field of activity. Therefore, the body is called Kshetra, or the field of activity for the conditioned soul. Now, the person who should not identify himself with the body is called Kshetrajna, the knower of the field. It is not very difficult to understand the difference between the field and its knower, the body and the knower of the body. Any person can consider that from childhood to old age, he undergoes so many changes of body, yet it is still one person remaining. Thus, there is difference between the knower of the field of the activities and the actual field of activities. A living conditioned soul can thus understand that he is different from the body. It is described in the beginning, Dehino Asmin, that the living entity is within the body, and that body is changing from childhood to boyhood, and from boyhood to youth, and from youth to old age. And the person who knows the body, the person who owns the body knows the body is changing. The owner is distinctly Kshetrajna. Sometimes we think I am happy, I am a man, I am a woman, I am a dog, I am a cat. These are bodily designation of the knower, but the knower is different from the body. Although we may use many articles, our clothes, etc., we know that we are different from these things used. Similarly, we also understand by a little contemplation that we are different from the body. I or you or anyone else who owns the body is called Kshetrajna, the knower of the field of activities. And the body is called Kshetra, the field of activity itself. So in the first 6 chapter of Bhagavad Gita, knower of the body, the living entity, and the position by which he understands the Supreme Lord are described. In the middle 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and relationship between the individual soul and the super soul in the regard to devotional service are described. The superior position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the subordinate position of the individual soul are definitely defined in these chapters. The living entities are subordinate under all circumstances, but in their forgetfulness they are suffering. When enlightened by pious activities, they approach the Supreme Personality in different capacities, Supreme Lord in different capacities, as the distressed, those in the want of money, the inquisitive, and those in search of knowledge. That is also described. Now, starting with the 13th chapter, how the living entity comes in contact with material nature and how he is delivered by the Supreme Lord through the different method of fruitive activities, cultivation of knowledge, and discharge of devotional service are explained. Although the living entity is completely different from the material body, he somehow becomes related. This is also explained. So, this is long purport. One of, not too long, but generally Prabhupada writes big one, 5-6 pages. So,
this is a very difficult topic.
Sorry.
This is a difficult topic.
This is, yeah, but this is one of the basic knowledge that we are not body, we are soul. This is the foundation, right? Like that's where Prabhupada starts preaching. Like first know that we are not body, we are spirit, soul. If that is not there, then there is no spirituality, because then everything is body, everything is material, right? So let's discuss out. I'll share some learning, and I definitely beg forgiveness if I speak something nonsense or wrong. So please forgive me. But I'll try to share whatever little I hear, or I hear from, read from Prabhupada, hear from Prabhupada lectures and DOT's lectures on this topic. So every living entity has some body, encased in some body, right? I have my body, animals have their body, right? So it's like Prabhupada gives example of apartment, right, or vehicle. The soul is present in like this temple, so we are present in this, but we are not temple. We are distinct, right? Likewise, in everyone's heart, that's a location. The soul is present, right? And I'm personally, about me, I'm a scientist. I work in Illumina, so I have been through these, both side of the world, how they think and what people are thinking about, right? So generally, from birth itself, we are taught to identify body as self. I didn't knew till maybe, unless I got in contact with devotees with Prabhupada's movement, I didn't knew that these are distinct. Otherwise, I used to think, everybody is a god. Okay, there is Brahmasmi. So everybody is like materialistic philosophy, right? Mayavadi philosophy that you are God, I am God, everybody is God. Dog is God, cat is God, everything is like so Brahman. So everything. But what we learn in Bhagavad Gita from Krishna. So Krishna is considered as one of the highest Vedic authority. We all, at least what we know, and it is by analysis. So likewise, when people say, one of the example comes, I say this is my body, this is my hand, this is my eye, this is my cloth, car, my wife, children, sister, brother, whatever. So who am I? Like, we never say that. We didn't say that I am body. We say my body. We didn't say I am hand, I am eyes, I am I am this cloth. So who is me, right? That's, I think, the first question. That's where the spiritual knowledge begins. Otherwise, there is no spiritual knowledge. So that's why it is so important, and that's why this 13th chapter is kept somewhere, after you understand, and the way the chapters are arranged. Then let's talk about these things, right? So I made some notes that I will be looking here. But then question comes that soul is present in different type of body, right? Like human is one body, but there are soul in dogs, cats, hogs, all kind of animal, any innumerable living entities present. So why just humans are assigned to discuss these things, right? Why cannot animals can also? We do have some instances when animals have that consciousness by fortune or mercy of the Krishna or the Lord, right? But in general, they don't have capacity. Like today morning we were hearing, there is a parrot named Sukadev with some devotees home, and he's 33-year-old, and he chants all kind of mantras, like what we chant, right? So what is going to be fate for him, right? But then Maharaj was saying that, moment you leave a cat and the cat catches the parrot will not chant the mantra. You'll say chee chee chee, like he'll start. So there is no consciousness behind it, right? So that's the difference, right? It's not intentional. It just Prabhupada say, okay, parrot, you don't want to be parrot devotee. You just want to understand these philosophy, right? And I just want to touch base the human body, right? So I generally, what I do when I drive to my office, there is some devotees has created this Krishna app, and then it has audio of these books. And Bhagavatam's audio, I listen like 50 minutes going, 20 minutes and coming. So every day just listening while driving, right? And now I'm listening 11th canto, where Uddhava asking questions from Krishna, the same thing, Bhagavad Gita, it's called Uddhava Gita. And there Krishna gives more distinct explanation than Bhagavad Gita. It's like, this was during the war, where the whole purpose was to encourage Arjuna to get fight, right? That is a peaceful situation when, Uddhava is asking Krishna before Krishna leaves the planet and goes back home to his world, right? Goloka. So there he describes that this human form of body is more fortunate than having a demigod's body. Even demigods aspires to get birth in human form here, because this is the platform Because in the heavenly planet where demigods have rich opulence, so they cannot think of Krishna, because they have so, and the life duration is so long that they have to wait for millions of years, right, to get a new situation. Is very different. But here, just maybe 50 year, 100 year, and the deities are here, right? The best thing is that you have deities. So there, in different planets, different people worship different kind of form of the Krishna, right? Some people worship Vishnu, Pradimnya, different, right? But here we have opportunity in human form to worship Krishna directly, and that's why the human form of life is in middle level. So upper planet system you have all heaven, down is hell, the mid is earthly planet were mixed, right? In Kali Yuga it's a special mercy because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Prabhupada and our disciplic succession that we have more special mercy, right? So that's why in most of time, if you would be hearing from deities, the human form of life is very, very important to practice devotional service. This is most suitable. But the question comes that then why people don't? They don't, or they are not able to do it. Even a lot of people try, like they have desire, but they cannot, desire fully they cannot do it. There are so many impediments here, right, to practice devotional service, or to know, to have this consciousness that I am not this body, I am soul. It's easy to say, but it's hard to practice in real life, right? Because if I accept that I am not his body and I am soul, which means everyone is not a body, not a soul, then I should not be envious. I should treat everyone equally. It's like one platform, right? So then I should not say that I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm Chinese, then I should not fight, because then everybody is soul, right? And at some point they have to leave their apartment and go to a new body depending upon how they cultivate now, right? Likewise, one of the example what Prabhupada gives in his lecture, he has taken a lot of lecture on these verses. So he says that in terms of soul, right, like we say we are a spirit soul, Krishna is super soul, right? So why I can't be Krishna, right? Because I am soul, Krishna is super soul, so qualitatively we are same, and then quantitatively we are different. This is what generally we learn, right, from shastras and deities. So, and that's where Prabhupada gives different example of gold, right? The gold can be transformed in so many things, but the gold will remain gold. Whether it's the gold is in the stone, mixed with the stone, or it is made jewelry, or it is made destroyed again, melted into, again in original form. So the gold doesn't change, but the contamination, the impurities, like 20 karat gold, 2 karat gold, 24 karat gold, right? So what is that? Which is impurity, right? Right. So that likewise, the soul is soul, but because this body, which within 30 years I have experienced that it's not very suitable. Almost every day, some pain somewhere, and it's not comfortable if I eat too much or eat sleep too less. So daily we are experiencing that this body is not really very comfortable, right? And with that, and then these 4 problems like old age, disease, death, like birth, old age, disease, death, and with all this, it feels like that I would never want this body again, right? If I have an option, I don't want to get the same body because anyways it's temporary, right? So soul is entrapped because the Prabhupada gives the example that we became envious of Krishna. So it's like if the government, the people become envious of government and they start doing nonsense, then they put into prison. And that's why there is overfilling of prison in every country. They are overfilled, and then what to do with them, right? Like they just keep trouble aside in somewhere, manage them, but don't want to involve with general public, right? So likewise, if we understand universe with a lot of research coming up, right, we would realize that this region where the earth is located, where we are located, it is the darkest place. Fortunately, we have a sun every 12 hours. We get a sunlight, otherwise we can feel that how much dark it is, right? So that's why we are put into somewhere, it's like Kalkotri, right? You're just dark, kept there, sometime light, food, and just live there. Don't want to have trouble, because Krishna don't want troubling people in there. That's why we are here. And then mode of material nature, which is like Durga Devi, she has those capacity like management. So depending upon our action reaction, we get different type of body at the time of death, right? And I won't touch, it's a very broad topic about getting new body. But then question comes, then what is going on? What is about what we experience daily, right? Like then everything is not real, or these things which is happening right around us, relationship, family, everything, right, day to day. So scriptures say, give us a knowledge that in our time frame it looks like it is very long, 100 years, but it is not long, right? People who became old, they realize now how fast the time has gone. 70 years, 60 years gone like anything, like 30 years, I don't feel like, okay, 10 years has gone, and it just looks like 1 year, right? So that's why, so I was saying about that this duration is relative, and I was talking about what is about this world. So this world is, first of all, which we experience daily. It's not so complicated, that temporary, right? There is nothing permanent with a relationship. Our own health is not permanent. Every day, sometimes tooth problem, ear problem, eye problem, nothing more than at least pain in the, somewhere in the feet, or headache, or adhidayavik, like people from outside trouble us. Unintentionally, you don't want it, but you get it. Like you just get it, right? So it is. So what does it mean? But it's temporary. Everything is temporary. Happiness is temporary, and distress is temporary, right? So which means it is not real, because it's something. It's like bubble coming after the rain. You see bubble and then goes away. So, and likewise, Prabhupada gives example of mirage in the desert, right? It's an illusion, basically, like a dream, right? For short time of this life, I'm experiencing certain things. But after I leave this body, all the experiences are erased out. Like I forget. Next life, I don't remember anything. That's how I don't remember what I was in the past, right? Nobody here remembers past life. And forget about past life, I don't remember yesterday at certain point of what I was doing in this life itself, right? So it's not very hard to understand that it is temporary, it is illusion, and we have forgetfulness. Like we just forget everything, right? So that's another point to understand, that this body is not a right place for the soul, because soul is eternal. So how can an eternal thing become in an uneternal thing, located, caged in an uneternal or temporary thing? It is still. So that's where our Krishna consciousness philosophy comes, where Prabhupada teaches us that while we are in this body, the whole endeavor should be, at least by desire, if not in action, to revive that consciousness of, at the level that I am soul. At least I am a soul, I am not this body. It cannot come just by saying I am soul, I am the body, I am not a body, I am soul, I am not a body. To build any consciousness or the neurological connection or a brain, automatically you need to practice it, right? And the way to practice, what acharyas tell us, that hearing and the tongue, right? Hearing is one of the most potent way. Hearing come first in the children. When children, I have a baby, 8-month baby, and I have practically seen, like, they can hear in the womb, right? Everybody, like womb babies can hear, they cannot act, right? And when people die, the last thing goes off is hearing. That's the last sense which is like left before the soul leaves the body, right? So that's why the hearing is the most important process. And hearing what to hear? We have to hear about a spirit, because soul is spiritual, so we have to hear our spiritual to remember that we are soul, right? And one of the ways is chanting Hare Krishna, right? The Hare Krishna mantra. I used to, as a scientist, I used to think, till recently, that how come a vibration or a text could be so potent that it could be spiritual. It's hard to believe. Okay, I understand. I accept that Krishna is God. I accept that deities are Krishna. But how to accept that Bhagavad Gita is Krishna? The slokas are Krishna, right? Vibrations are Krishna. Like the sloka, he says, Aham Vedas, I am slokas. Like Krishna's one of the name is Uttama Sloka. So the topmost qualities, the syllables of Vedic hymns. And then I was listening this creation. So if you go to Bhagavatam, it's nice to hear because reading is hard. Then they describe that how the world got created. And then sound is the one of the primarily thing. It's the Omkar, and from Omkar things like built up. That's Krishna says, I am Omkar in the hymns, right? So, and there is a whole calculation. It's like whole Sankhya philosophy talking about how Krishna is the words could be spiritual and the sound could be represented as a Krishna, right? And once you start chanting, I can tell you based on 5-6 years of chanting that it really helps. It really helps out. Not just so chanting. We don't just chant for spiritual, just for material gain or mindfulness or getting some benefit out of, my brain will be more sharp, fast, and all that. But over the year, when you start doing it, you actually start feeling those spiritual vibration internally, because the soul starts feeling that, right? And it comes by experience. I cannot just say it and somebody can understand it. It's like by doing it. And that's where, that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says this chanting of Hare Krishna should be done in every town and village on planet Earth, right? So what does it mean? He was from India, Kolkata, but he was talking about whole planet. Why? Because everybody, right, whether there is American, Indian, Russian, Chinese, is a spiritual soul. So something spiritual can only be applied across anyone in any species of life, right? So that's why, since this mantra is spiritual, it can be applied anywhere, and that's where you see the result of ISKCON. Devotees across the world are chanting Hare Krishna, irrespective of what order they come from, where they are, what age, group, gender. Because earlier in Vedic life, there was like some mantras women cannot chant, some mantras certain caste people cannot chant, right? There was mantra, for every sampradayas, they had their own mantra. That this is Maha Mantra, right? This mantra can be applied and chanted anywhere. And practically there is a proof. This is not something sentimental, right? As a scientist, I was very skeptical. I got into Krishna consciousness in 2012. But I used to feel whether I'm being cheated. Sometimes there are so many things going on, right? So whether they are trying to hypnotize me with chanting and make it me like just keep thinking of Krishna. Is some kind of scam being played with me. Maybe Prabhupada did or something, People are just making money out of it. It's a big organization, making $1 million. But over the years, when you start practicing, you start feeling the spirituality. And then you compare, you enjoy the material life and then you contrast it. Otherwise, you don't appreciate it, right? Unless you go out and then you learn, right? So that's why, and then Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he said, there are two things. One is that this Maha Mantra is applied to our soul level, and Krishna says that I am seed-giving father to every living entity. He doesn't say that I am seed-giving father for human, I am seed-giving father for male but not female, I am seed-giving father for the dogs but not cats, not for other animals. He said every living entity. What does it mean? That the soul has the same quality. It doesn't matter from where we are coming from, right? So this knowledge is
not hard to understand, but people don't want to accept it, because moment we accept that I am soul, then I have to take care of all the anarthas which I am committing daily. I'm envious of certain people, I'm envious of, I don't like them, I don't like this person, I don't like my uncle, I don't like my neighbors, I don't like my, office people. And that's why it's so hard to implement, because once we know that I'm doing wrong, then the soul inside kicks off, right? Like for example, this is an example, like people who commit crime, like this sort, or like the people who are fighting on the border in the war, they have to be intoxicated to be able to shoot anyone. Otherwise, without intoxication, you cannot kill people. The people who do, like people die and then they do this post-mortem. People who open the body, they have to be fully intoxicated to be able to open the dead body. So what about living body? Why that has to be done? Because if they're not intoxicated, they will run away. They will run away. They will not do that thing, right? Because they feel that there is a soul in them. Super soul is sitting there, right? That's so easy to understand, right? That there is a soul in everyone's body. And in general, devotees understand this, and we just don't stop there. Like, okay, everybody is soul, then what to do? What to do with this, right? What does it mean, right? So then the concept of comes like going back to Godhead, right? Going beyond different modes, right? The modes we know, like passion, ignorance, and goodness, right? So the lowest is the ignorance, where literally I'm doing all kind of nonsense. The worst thing in the world can be done, right? Then the passion, that I'm mixed, like sometime I become very charitable, but sometime for my own pleasure, I want people to follow me, I want people to appreciate me, I do help people so that they feel that I'm good person. If they don't appreciate it, I don't want to do it next time, right? That's a passion, right? And that goodness is something like I'm doing it, but just for certain gain, to promote to some higher level, right? Mode of goodness, right? Where I want to go to a new planet system, or within this world, I want to be shown that I'm practically behaving like a goodness person. I'm vegan, I do charity, I don't do harm to anyone. But even mode of goodness, which is like Brahma, Lord Brahma is mode of passion, and then you go to Vaikuntha, everything is mode of goodness, right? Like, so these modes, if we are just there, they won't help me, and it's hard to understand. I will say it's not easy to understand these modes. It's very hard, right? But the only way to realize, since there is so much conditioning has already been done, even in this life, like I was born in a village, or if I am born in US or in Muslim family, from the birth itself I am conditioned that I am Muslim, I have to do this. I am Brahman, I am born in this family, so I belongs to like my daughter born in with me. So traditionally they are trained that you are my daughter, I am your parents, right? But and your everything belongs to me because you are my offspring. But this body, the question belongs to whom? To my parents, or to my forefathers, or to the soul, or to the super soul, or the Krishna, or this body belongs to the earth, water, ether, fire, or this body belongs to jackals, the people who eat after death, the worms who take out the fire, who burns it, right? Body belongs to whom, right? This is a very complicated question. Like, who is the owner of the body? Whether me or my parents, because they gave birth. Genetically we are part of them. We 50% mother, 50% father. Chromosomes comes together and makes a new body. But why then we are different? Which means the soul is different. There is something which is different and doesn't come from my parents. My daughter doesn't have my soul and my wife's souls in him, right? Because they're a separate soul. And that's why even twins, identical twins born from the same womb, from the same mother, have different nature, different interest, different conditioning, and different fate, right? Which means this chemical composition is not soul, right? So Prabhupada says that this is so easy to understand, but only because we are so conditioned, we never understand this. Even for me to remember every time that I am soul is not possible. When I'm in temple or when I'm in lecture, maybe I'm speaking, I'm remembering, but next time I go to my car, somebody hits my car, I'll be super angry, oh, you hit my car. So it's not easy to practically, but by I think chanting Hare Krishna and practicing whole life, just like we have been practicing so many things, right? Practicing so many things in life, we perfect it. We perfect this memory, right? This remembrance. And I think last thing I would just touch base about animals and the humans, right? Animals, like Prabhupada gives example of cows and asses and the hogs, right? So he says that practically current civilization is, and Krishna says that is cows and asses. If they don't remember me, or they're not towards, turning towards me, they are cows and asses. So practically we are animal. And we can see, at least in US, large prevalence in Pacific. We are in Pacific Beach, right? So there are only 4 things happening. Eat nice food, go to restaurant, and after belly is filled, sleep. It's nice, feel sleepy because belly is filled, and then people involved in illicit sex activities. It's very common, right? In US, living together, so many things going on, right? And Prabhupada, when he came to US, and DOTs, a lot of DOTs I was hearing today morning, so people were saying that they were living together, but they're trying to practice Krishna consciousness. And this was culture. It's not their fault, just a culture. This is how the culture is made, right? So what to do? They are born in a body, in a US body, American body here. And so Prabhupada requested, okay, you do whatever you want to do, but just please do appropriate way, get married and just do it, right? So, and that's what the hog, like the hogs do, right? They have a nice fatty body, they eat stool, and then what to do? They create children's 12 more than us. We can do 2 or 3 maybe sometimes, or mostly 1. But we are not even competent with the hogs in creating progenies, right? We can't eat that much what they eat, right? And then defending, right? We defend. Everybody wants to defend, right? And this is going on, right? This is very commonly going on. And the Krishna consciousness movement, what Prabhupada created is to avoid. That's where the 4 regulative principles of what Prabhupada established comes in. Okay, you are gonna not eat meat, at least eat Krishna prasadam, okay? No intoxication, so that the mind is steady and you can distinguish right, wrong. And the third is, no illicit sex, no gambling. Gambling is crazy. In 2017, I wanted to try trading. I just wanted to understand what does it feel doing that, right? I created Demat account in India, and it's went created on Sensex, like looking at. I was not able to sleep in the night because in the morning at 8 a.m. I have to go look at the news and then accordingly find out what things to purchase and what not to sell it, right? Within a month, I was like, okay, I cannot do this. Because I used to think, why gambling is bad? You make money, you donate money to the Krishna, and then you are serving it. But that's not a right way, right? Serving. Because Prabhupada doesn't approve that. You cannot gamble it and then come back, just that take as an excuse to gamble it, right? Because he doesn't want that kind of money. So gambling, anybody who hasn't done, you just try with trading and you feel it. Feel the heat of gambling, and so that's why these 4 regulative principles. And I have seen practically in my life, and you can analyze people in your life. Anyone who have even one, who's breaking currently at least 1 regulative principle will not be peaceful and happy. You can check it. They may be vegetarian, they may be having nice family life, they are not doing any illicit sex, right? No meat eating, no. But if they just are doing gambling, any kind of gambling work, their mind is not peaceful. Or they're just eating meat but no intoxication. They are not peaceful. And that's why these 4 things are avoided, so that we can chant peacefully.
Otherwise, it's not possible, right? It's really not possible. So, with that, I would say, at least, try to, we cannot implement immediately, but accept that we are not this body, we are soul. And by chanting Hare Krishna, you can try, if you're not trying, 1 round, and I can do it takes 10 minutes. One of the devotee in Bangalore, I had a hard time chanting, and he told me, because as a Indian, we think I have to take bath, I have to dress nicely, then sit down and chant. And by that time, so many phone calls comes, WhatsApp messages, Facebook, Twitter notification, and we get distracted, right? In next 1 hour, so many things can happen, right? He told me, when you get up, Pawan, before you even go to toilet, just chant 1 round. Just after the bed. You don't have to do anything. And that worked. Because then I didn't have any excuse. And slowly, as you grow, you kind of get into that habit, right? So that's why, to get to this platform, we should try chanting. It will help really. It really helps. So I'll end here. I think already 8. So I'll be happy to hear thoughts, questions, comment.
Thank you very much for your nice discussion. It was very timely and important. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any comments? We have 7 minutes, right? Yeah. Anyone, any question or any thoughts came in your mind during discussion?
Besides hearing, what is another way to practice, I am not body, I am soul? You mentioned hearing, but is there something else that's...
So, to realize, and the hearing is one thing, right? Then comes, if I am not able to do it because my conditioning is so heavy that literally I cannot do it, right? The another thing which works is associating people who are doing it, right? So, likewise, like we learn bad habits by association. Like if I am not smoking, but if I associate with someone smoking from, for 1-2 years, I will tempted from other people to, okay, try it. Likewise, right? So same thing applies here, association. And then third level comes is, I think that the main problem which I felt and what, listening from other people, by nature spirit soul is nice. It's eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. We want to be happy, right? But the conditioning, it's so heavy, right? It's so heavy conditioning, and we can feel it. The people who are struggling with intoxication, like some drug addict, or they want to do certain things, but their body senses does not support. It simply doesn't support, right? There are some devotees come here, they want to concentrate, but they cannot sit down and listen, right? So the conditioning could be gross, could be subtle. Like I may have get rid of everything, but in my heart I have lust, I have greed, I have, I lie, justifyingly, logically I lie, try to convince myself that, okay, I'm doing right. I am relatively better than other people, right? It's a relative world, right? But till the time we are in a relative world, it's hard. We have to come to absolute world to understand absolute truth, right? Otherwise, I may feel I'm better than that devotee, I'm better than that person. At least I go to temple. Saturday, Sunday I'm in the temple. Okay, I don't eat meat, I don't do... Well, it's a relative, right? There is no growth, right? So I think that's third point. And then comes service, if somebody is not educated, a scholar, they cannot serve it. Because Krishna says he does not want intelligent devotees, right? Just intelligent, right? He wants loving devotional. Love does not require language, all kind of barriers. So Krishna is very open. And he doesn't want opulence. He has all 6 opulences. He is not hankering for... Prabhupada says, like one of the lecture that
Only he cries actually that Krishna is not looking for your chapatis, your pakoras, your rasgullas. He don't he don't need it. He can have 100,000-fold better offering than what we do, right? So we are nothing. Fortunately, because of Prabhupada, we have opportunity here. Otherwise, I feel the heat out. When I go in office, working with people. And feel sad also because they are struggling so much. I can't help them too much, because they are so conditioned. We can feel it. You are so sad, depressed. By evening, Friday evening, full of alcohol, 20% blood ratio, level of alcohol. They are just gone, right? So, yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Okay, let's end here. Thank you so much for attentive listening, and please forgive any offenses or any wrong things I said. I'm very new to speaking about it.
Well, you did a great job today.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Very much.